Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition. Oh, sorry, my camera is crooked. Shay's Coaching Insights into Life and Love. As always, I am so excited to have you here with me today. I am Tina Shayani. I am the head coach here at Shay Coaching and the founder of this group, Journey to Lasting Love. Oh, good morning, Michelle, and the Regal Park group. So happy to have you here with us today. So as you know, I am Tina, the founder of this group, and every week we get together to talk about different issues that face every human being and good morning, Claudia. And we are here on this journey as a human being to have experiences, and there are so many common themes. We are all here looking for love, looking for fulfillment, looking to make our lives better every day. There are so many things that we each face each and every day, and we are just here to know that we are not alone, to know that I am not alone and you are not alone, and we all face similar challenges, and there are ways to get through them. Everybody has their difficulties, and there are people that are more successful in life and relationships than others. So we're here to take a look to see what it is that makes one relationship successful and another not. What are the positive things that we can do to ensure that we are going to have a successful relationship? And part of that goes into picking a partner that is going to be a partner in a life experience. There are some partners that we can choose that no matter what we do, no matter how well we do everything, that partner is just not the right partner, has their own issues. So it is impossible to be successful in a relationship with such a partner. Good morning, Grace. So our topic today is loneliness. Is loneliness eating away at your soul? And just that statement, eating away at your soul, because isn't that what it really feels like? That feeling of deep loneliness is such a terrible, terrible feeling. And we've all been there. Sometimes you feel that way even when you are in a relationship, but that feeling of loneliness has such a, good morning, Melody, has such a terrible feel to it. And it really, really sucks. So let's say that right off the bat. It sucks to be lonely. It's painful, and it has almost like a feeling of hopelessness to it. And it's such a powerful emotion. So really, first, let's understand that it sucks. It sucks, it's terrible, and it's painful. That's number one. Number two is that everybody at some point in their life experiences this feeling of deep loneliness. So we live in a world surrounded by people, but we still have that feeling of deep loneliness. And perhaps now that feeling is more than ever, because we have kind of shifted to a life that we live more in isolation than we ever did before, because of the internet and the Zoom and all of these things. Like traditionally, a class like this could only be in person. So it kind of has its pluses and its minuses. Like if we were together in a room, we would interact after class. We would have a good morning, Jean. We would have formed closer bonds with each other. But the internet and this kind of venue allows us to make connections over thousands of miles. I know Jean, I believe, lives in Texas. So if it weren't for this mode of communication, probably Jean and I would never have met. So there is opportunity in it. So let's embrace the opportunity. And I'm so grateful that I have this method of being able to connect with you. But it does kind of add to that sense of loneliness instead of coming together in a room with other people. So maybe that sense of loneliness is more than it ever was before, even though We are more connected than we ever were before. So number one, we know that it's an emotion that sucks. It's very painful. Number two, we know that we are not alone in experiencing this emotion. Everybody at some point in their life feels this way. But what is the purpose of this emotion? Let's look at the emotion itself for a moment and see what is the purpose of having this very strong emotion. Well, the truth is that human beings, as a human being, we are social animals. We are driven to find other people to be with. We are driven to find a mate. And really having that mate, and that's not the only cure to loneliness. Friends, co-workers, there are so many ways to alleviate that loneliness, but here we focus on that mate. So what does this feeling of loneliness do? It pushes you to get rid of the feeling. Because it is such a powerful emotion, it becomes a great motivator to go out into the world. It is so easy to stay home and hover in fear of the unknown, of other people, of being hurt, of so many different things. But this feeling of loneliness, this need to connect with other people, pushes us out of the door. So we give loneliness a big thank you for that. It pushes us to seek other people, and it pushes us to seek love. But the other thing that it does is it makes us settle. So that's a pitfall of loneliness that we want to avoid. We want to avoid being with someone, being with anyone, being with the person that we know is not good for us in the long run because we are lonely. To kind of put a band-aid and temporarily get rid of that feeling of loneliness, we make a lot of concessions. So yes, it is very painful, but when we are aware of the feeling and the purpose of that feeling, what is the purpose of that feeling? The job of that feeling is to push us out, to seek a life partner. It pushes us out to seek friends, to seek companions, to seek a community, and to not stay home alone. So that is the function of loneliness. The byproduct is that we end up settling for something less than what we deserve, something less than what we are worthy of, because we are so scared of that feeling. We want to avoid that feeling at any cost, that feeling of sitting home alone. What does the Grinch say? And looking out into the abyss. Because that's what that feeling of loneliness feels like. It's like being at the edge of the abyss, and you feel it at the core of your being. And we are willing to do so many things to avoid that feeling. We are willing to compromise ourselves. But if we recognize that, if we recognize the motive behind it, then we can combat that feeling of loneliness in a healthy way rather than sacrificing ourselves, to sacrificing our standards to avoid being lonely, to accept what we know to not be acceptable in order to have somebody with us. So we want to use this feeling of loneliness to propel us forward, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to go out into the world. But let's recognize the power that it has. And let's not be dominated by acting out of sheer loneliness. Let's be sure that when we choose someone to spend our time with, that person is worthy of our investment of time. Even if it's just a friend. Is that friend worthy of your time? Is that friend making you better? Is that friend uplifting you? Or is it just avoiding being alone? And you know what? It's okay. There is a time and a place for each person, and each person in our lives fills a certain what's the word I'm looking for? A certain purpose, and comes along to give us something, to teach us something. And some people are meant to be just fillers. Not everybody has to be your greatest inspiration and your greatest friend. Some people are just good for company. But when we're talking about a life partner, someone who's going to be with you when you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, when you brush your teeth, when you are talking about someone that you're going to share your soul with, we don't want to settle for just companionship. We want to make sure that we recognize loneliness for what it is, and that we don't compromise ourselves and our values to avoid that ugly feeling of loneliness. So first we have to say, I am okay with feeling lonely. It is just a feeling, and like every other feeling, it will not last forever, and it will pass. So the first thing really is to be okay with being, there is a difference between alone and loneliness. So let's be okay with being alone. Let's be okay with being alone. Let's be more okay with being alone than being with a partner that is more destructive than constructive. We are looking for a partner to make us better, that we can grow with, and that will step up with us. We're not looking for someone, anyone, just to be at our side. So look at the relationship, if you are in fact in a relationship, or when you meet someone, is this someone that I want to be with, or am I just avoiding being by myself? Am I just trying to avoid that feeling of loneliness? And really be honest with yourself when you answer that question. Is this relationship a relationship of potential? Is this relationship going to make my life better? Is this long term? And answer that question honestly with yourself. So yes, loneliness is a very, very powerful and painful emotion, but it is there for a reason. Good morning, Aaron. I was waiting for you. So are you using loneliness to propel you forward, to propel you out into the world and to meet people and to find a loving partner that you can grow with and build a lasting love with? Or is that loneliness paralyzing you? Is that loneliness causing you to stay with someone? Oh, I didn't see you earlier, Aaron. Is that loneliness causing you to stay with someone that is not really the right person for you? And that person may be a wonderful person, but it may not be the right fit for you, because oftentimes we feel guilty or uncomfortable to let go of a relationship with someone who we see to be a good person, a kind person, but that doesn't mean that that person is the right one for you. And very often what happens when we do feel lonely, we look back at previous relationships and we think, wow, why did I let that person go? That was such a good thing. But remember, after a breakup, there was a reason why you broke up. It didn't happen just out of the clear blue sky. There was a reason for that. And loneliness tends to cloud our judgment of the past. And we look at our past relationships kind of with rose-colored glasses and say, wow, that was so great. Not because it actually was so great, but because now we are feeling lonely and we are feeling regret at letting go of that past relationship, because we want so desperately to get rid of this feeling of loneliness. So to wrap up, let's look at loneliness one more time. It is a powerful emotion. It comes into our lives to drive us to be social. It drives us to find relationships, because if we were perfectly happy and comfortable at home alone, why would we ever leave? Why would we ever seek other human beings? So that loneliness, it is a drive for us to find relationships and to find a companion. And it is very powerful, but it can be beautiful. What we need to do is avoid the pitfall of loneliness. We want to not settle for something that is not a good relationship to avoid the loneliness. So when you are embarking on a new relationship, when you are in a relationship, look and say, am I here because this is a great relationship, because this is a great opportunity for growth, and this person is going to grow with me and help me to grow? Or am I just avoiding that feeling of loneliness? And if you can answer that question honestly, you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and time. Our time is so precious. Our time is so precious, and you want to spend that time wisely. And when we are alone, we can avoid that feeling of loneliness by doing things for ourselves, by doing things for our own personal growth, by bettering ourselves. And when we do that, when a quality person comes along, first, we will be that much more attractive to quality people the better that we are ourselves. And when that quality person comes along, that person is going to want to be with us. Quality attracts quality. So the better you are, the better of a mate you're going to attract into yourself. If you are a well of need and loneliness, you're not going to attract a quality person. So let's be accepting of this feeling and understand that it is just a feeling. It's not going to kill us, and that it will pass. And let's use the time that we have as a single person to better ourselves. The time that we have when we are alone to become better and to be alone instead of lonely. And at the same time, use the feeling to propel us forward, to seek relationships and to seek fulfilling relationships. Let's not just put a Band-Aid on it by being with whoever is nearby, whoever is willing to be with us, but let's look for a quality person that we can grow with. So not only are we getting out of that feeling of loneliness, but we are growing and evolving and finding love. So the goal is really to find love. And that's what loneliness is pushing us to do. So as always, I hope that this was helpful. I wish you love. And together we can work to find it by understanding ourselves, by understanding our feelings, and knowing how to cultivate the feelings and having the tools to deal with those feelings and to put them in a more positive light. We can grow and we can become better each and every day. I love interacting with you guys during the week, so send me those messages. I really enjoy it. Send me your thoughts, send me your questions. If there's a particular topic that you would like to see me talk about here, please send it to me. And I will see you all next week right here at 11 o'clock. Take care. Have a great week.